Welcome to Whispers. With the situation of things, the herdsmen, bandits, kidnappers, mayhem running freely in the country. One thing is clear, and it is glaringly clear, that Nigerian bandits have their cake and eat it. The fight against terror in Nigeria has been a theater of the absurd. What began as a tiny speck of literate fanatics taking a pledge against Western education mutated into a full-fledged non-state army currently ranked as the third deadliest globally. Yet, banditry is another fast-growing franchise. State response has also been as bewildering as it has been absurd. It has ranged from denial to extrajudicial killings, and from regional joint task forces to the use of prayer warriors and mercenaries. And when you thought absurdity has reached its limits, a new idea has been added to the toolbox: compensation to bandits as incentive for them to lay down their arms. We don't know how big yet, but if what the well-known Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmed Gumi is saying is anything to go by, bandits in Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria, may expect a big payout as compensation to stopping the killings. It is rare that killers, and not their victims, should demand compensation. It's even weirder that the mediator can actually bring the matter to the public on a national television. Thinking that after years of paying ransom and bribes without results, compensation might finally set us free from criminals. It's the victim's nightmare recompense. A loved one is murdered, and then you watch the perpetrator of the crime paid compensation by the state that is supposed to have prevented the crime in the first place. Gumi didn't just say how much compensation, but anyone who has seen videos of the bandits dressed like the Taliban, armed with automatic weapons, catches of live rounds strapped to their bodies, will know that they will need to be paid handsomely to forego their lifestyle of audacious criminality. As Gumi finished his meeting with over 500 of the bandits in some forest areas of Zamfara recently, he said he was sure that if the bandits got some money and perhaps amnesty to the bargain, they would lay down their hands and we can live happily ever after. I don't know where the good cleric got that idea from. Perhaps he wasn't listening or didn't believe the chairman of a local government not far from where he met the bandits, who said the community had paid bandits 200 million in ransom. Yet, things only got worse. It's not only the local government chairman that has been paying bandits without results. Governor Bello Matawale has also been paying the bandits. 1 million naira here, 2 there, a herd of 2 or 3 cows to start them off, and the place to lay their heads. Lucky folks. But the governor's token, often targeted at rank and file bandits, has proved to be nothing compared to the huge piles of cash the kingpins make from ransom and the pleasure they get from killing for sport. How much more can a distressed, impoverished state pay bandits to lay down their arms? If the price was in human lives, the bandits should have had enough by now. According to a BBC report in July, in the last decade, since banditry became a major industry in northern Nigeria, 8,000 have been killed in the states of Kebbi, Sokoto, Niger, and Zamfara alone. The highest death toll has been in Zamfara, with a record topped only by Borno State in the northeast, where killings by Boko Haram are in a savage class of its own. Apart from the cost in human lives, which means nothing to the bandits, the price and misery for the living has been just as high. Thousands have been maimed, traumatized, displaced, and impoverished by the bandits, reducing the state, which is bigger in size than Belgium, to a shell of its once thriving self. About 2 years ago, the state set up a committee headed by former Inspector General of Police Muhammad Abubakar to get to the root of the problem. The committee found out that most people already know about both figures, faces, and insights that establish beyond a doubt that banditry was not a well-organized crime. It was also the most prosperous industry in Zamfara. According to the committee, the criminal gang had made more than 3 billion from 3,672 relatives of victims, and the gang also had a network that covered even traditional rulers and influential persons in the state. The committee recommended that a judicial panel should be set up to investigate those involved in the crime. After the public outrage that followed the report, the bandits took a recess and government went to sleep. The bandits have since returned in full force, killing over 1,000 people last year alone and raping and looting scores of villages in daylight. Journalist Kadirai Ahmed said in a video broadcast by the BBC that every day we bury between 40, every day we bury between 30, 40 and 50 people, with a police-civilian population ratio of 1 to 1,500 in Zamfara. The communities are on their own. Perhaps that was why Gumi, who is from Zamfara, took it up upon himself to mediate with the bandits. But where did the talk about compensation come from? Gumi is obviously copying from former President Omar Musa Yar'Adua's playbook on the Niger Delta crisis. But the militants in the Niger Delta, however despicable and obnoxious, were Nigerians. The bandits, especially those in Zamfara area, are mostly armed Malian caravans that have taken advantage of weak policing and porous borders to infiltrate the country largely through Katsina. They have slowly but steadily built themselves into an occupying force, rooting wild communities along their path, planting flags at one time, and collecting taxes and levies from local communities whose rulers sometimes pledge their loyalty to survive. A village elder told Amnesty International that they received a call from bandits to tell all villagers close to the forest to vacate their homes and farms and come and pay levies. He said the only way they would allow the villagers to continue staying is if they paid them 5 million naira. Amnesty reported the man as saying, "Ransom is a way of life in Zamfara." Whatever Gumi's motivation, however, it is important to remember that Yar'Adua did not offer compensation to the militants. He offered them an amnesty in exchange for laying down their hands. Even that time's amnesty was justifiably opposed on the ground that it would form the basis in future for criminal gangs to hold government to ransom. That precedent has come back to haunt us. Today, there are other franchises of official capitalization and indulgence, no, like Governor Nasser El-Rufai of Kaduna State, paying off criminal orders, herders who lost their cows, while turning a blind eye to other members of the community who were actually the victims. However well-meaning Gumi's intention may be, it runs salt in the injury of thousands of bereaved families to suggest that those who killed their loved ones should be compensated for the brutality. If the bandits had squeezed 3 billion from victims' families and are not satisfied, if they have extracted over 200 million from just 1 out of 14 local governments and are not satisfied, if they have roasted cows and looted farms and yet won't lay down their hands, it's obvious that nothing short of a seat in the government house, Gasal, along with the state's checkbook, or preside would appease them. And for what? What did they lose for which they should be compensated? Or what offense that the thousands they've killed commit that their memories deserve such brazen indignity? It's time to end the nonsense and confront the bandits head on. I'm shocked that President Muhammadu Buhari's government is not outraged by the billions of naira paid out to bandits for nothing. Not outraged by bandits, most of whom have been officially described as foreigners collecting ransom from citizens. Foreigners in quotes. And it is clearly not outraged that bandits who have received more in ransom than the government uses to maintain internally displaced persons still want compensation on top of amnesty. They want to be paid, not just for the atrocities for which they ought to be held accountable, but also because they think that they deserve a flag for making themselves a parallel government. Where does that happen? If we don't end the nonsense now, nothing stops. Another group of violent rogues from some part of the country, from stealing, looting, murdering, even making a secession bid, and then staking a claim for compensation. Zamfara is a crime scene. However well-meaning, that those who have monetized criminality should be compensated. In Yoruba to say the truth is a go to cover your food love. Is this how the Southwest governors, is this how they will be looking? Do they want to make us another Zamfara? Can you imagine what insolence, paying them ransom, asking for amnesty, and they are eating their cake and having it, and nothing is being done? This is what they want us to accept in the Southwest. If they are treating their own people like that, won't they treat us worse? And now come, all of a sudden they are not saying they are foreigners. When Gumi's, there's this other guy that went with Gumi to go meet the bandits, say they are their home, that they are children. Even the Sultan of Sokoto said over 80% of them are our own Fulanese. So how come they want to twist it? They are not saying they are foreigners. What sort of foreigners? Is that possible for foreigners to be wreaking so much havoc? And you can't evict them? I mean, take for instance in diaspora, you're given citizenship subject to you being well behaved according to the rules of the land. That is a slap on us. How can they come and say they are not foreigners? That is a blatant lie by them. They said they are their home. They said if your children is bad, like what that guy said, I can't remember his name, but But he went with Gumi to go see the band and say, if your child is bad, are you gonna throw the child away? You bring the child closer to you. You try to, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Is this what they want to turn the Southwest to? Another Zamfara. And it is happening before our eyes. They're already asking for money. They're already doing everything they did. It's being done now. And yet the governors, they don't see anything bad in it. Citizens are even being arrested. Ṣé bá tẹ̀ ṣe máa wò ní? Mo ṣe bí wọ́n lọ́gbọ́n la fi ṣọgbọ́n. Ṣé ó dìgbà tí tọ́yọ̀ state, àbí Ògùn state, àbí Ondo state, àbí Èkó lé, abọ́ṣun tó bá tó di bí Zamfara? Wọ́n lè yí ti kéèkì wọn kọ́ ààbẹ̀ ní sáìdì bí o. Ohun tó bá gbà náà la máa fún. Ohun tó bá gbà náà la máa fún. Nílùú tó lọ́ba tó níjòyè tó fi wà. Wọ́n ti ń run parallel government now. It's like Boko Haram has taken over states and local governments. And they are there. And people have to pay to live there. So, what are we saying? It's no longer one Nigeria now. It's a threat. And just like the people the security agencies, those are the people that's supposed to go face. But no, they are busy shooting and killing innocent, peaceful, unarmed protesters. They are the ones they are busy killing. Oh my God, what a country. Well, there was once a country. Wow, it is too. They're having a field day. They are eating their cake and having it. Until I come your way again.